John was a 40-year-old man with calloused hands and a serene look that hid the determination of someone who fought daily to provide the best for his family. He worked as a mechanic in a small workshop in the city center, known for its honesty and skill with cars. John was passionate about what he did. Since he was a child, he showed an interest in machines and engines, dismantling and reassembling toys until he became an expert in vehicles. Every car he fixed was a challenge he faced with enthusiasm and dedication. Maria, his wife, was 38 years old and had a restless spirit. Unlike John, who found satisfaction in his work, Maria was always dissatisfied. Ambitious by nature, she dreamed of a life of luxury and glamour, far from the modest reality they lived in. She resented John for not aspiring to more, thinking his dedication to the workshop was a limitation that kept them stuck in a mediocre life. Maria worked as a receptionist in a law firm, but always dreamed of a more glamorous life. One night, after a long day at work, John entered the house, exhausted but happy to be with his family. He barely had time to take off his grease-stained overalls before Maria started complaining. "John, you have to do something about that smell. Every time you come home, it feels like we're in the workshop," Maria said, wrinkling her nose. "Sorry, Maria. I work with cars all day. It's inevitable that I smell like grease and oil," John replied, trying to stay calm. "But I always shower as soon as I get home." "That's not enough. You could at least try harder. Maybe look for a better job," she continued, her voice full of frustration. "I love my job, Maria. I'm good at what I do, and it supports us," John replied, feeling the sting of his wife's words. At the center of John's world was his daughter, Anna. At just 10 years old, Anna was a sweet and curious girl who loved spending time with her father at the workshop. She was the light of John's eyes, the reason he worked so hard. Every day after school, Anna would run to the workshop to see her dad. "Dad, can you show me how to fix this engine?" Anna asked, her eyes shining with excitement. "Of course, my princess," John said, smiling. "But first, tell me about your day at school." While John and Anna shared these precious moments, Maria watched from a distance, torn between her love for her daughter and her dissatisfaction with her life. "You spend so much time at the workshop, John. When will you realize that we deserve more than this?" Maria asked one night, her voice full of bitterness. "I work hard for us, Maria. I'm doing the best I can," John replied, trying to hide the pain he felt seeing his wife's dissatisfaction. "But it's not enough," she shouted, tears streaming down her face. "I want more from life. I can't keep living like this." John sighed, knowing nothing he said would change Maria's feelings. He turned his attention to Anna, determined to give her the best future possible. Meanwhile, Maria started going out with Gustavo, a young man who seemed wealthy, seeking the glamorous life she always wanted. Despite the conflicts at home, John continued his work at the workshop, where he was respected for his integrity and skill. His colleagues admired him not only for his competence, but also for his honesty. He never charged more than necessary and always explained in detail to customers what was wrong with their vehicles and what would be done to fix them. One day, after a long day of work, John found Anna waiting for him at the workshop. "Dad, I made a drawing for you," Anna said, handing him a piece of paper. It was a drawing of them fixing a car together, with hearts all around. "It's beautiful, Anna. I'm going to hang it on the workshop wall so everyone can see my daughter's talent," John said, hugging her warmly. These moments with Anna gave John the strength to keep going, despite the difficulties at home. He knew that regardless of Maria's choices, his mission was to care for Anna and show her the value of honest work and integrity. Maria's complaints about John's smell became a daily routine as he came home after a long day at the workshop. Initially, they were just subtle comments, but over time, the complaints became more frequent and sharp. "John, you need to shower as soon as you come home. This grease smell is unbearable," she would say, with a look of disgust. "I always shower, Maria. I'm doing the best I can," John would respond, trying to stay calm. However, Maria was never satisfied. She started expressing her discontent with John's profession, thinking he could have done more with his life. "You're smart, John. You could have studied, gotten a better job. But no, you chose to stay in that dirty workshop, fixing cars. Is that a life?" Maria spoke with a tone of disdain, as if John's work was insignificant. John felt each word like a knife. He loved his work and knew he was good at it. The workshop was his refuge, the place where he could be himself and use his skills to help people. But for Maria, it was never enough. At a family dinner, Maria made sure to humiliate John in front of everyone. They were gathered at her parents' house, an occasion that should have been joyful, but quickly turned into a nightmare for John. "Did you know that João still works at that car repair shop? I really thought he would have moved up by now," said Maria, looking at her mother. Maria's mother, a high-class woman with a certain arrogance, just nodded her head. "It's a shame. I always thought João had the potential for more." João felt his face burn with embarrassment. He could barely look at the other guests at the table. He tried to change the subject, but Maria continued. "I just wanted a better life for us, you know? It's not easy being married to someone who doesn't aspire to anything," she went on, oblivious or indifferent to the impact of her words. On another occasion, Maria humiliated João publicly during a gathering of friends. They were at a bar, celebrating a mutual friend's birthday. The conversation flowed about careers and achievements until Maria decided to bring up João's profession. "While all of you have impressive careers, João here is still fixing cars. It's honest work, sure, but let's be honest, it's not what I imagined for my life," Maria said, laughing bitterly. The friends fell into an awkward silence, some trying to change the subject, while others looked at João with a mixture of pity and discomfort. João felt the ground open under his feet but maintained his composure, smiling shyly and trying not to show the pain he felt. At home, the humiliations continued in private. Maria never missed an opportunity to criticize João for his lack of ambition and his job. "You could have been anything, João. A businessman, a lawyer, a doctor. But no, you chose to be a mechanic. Why? Why didn't you try to be more?" she would say, tears of frustration in her eyes. "I like my job, Maria, and it supports us. Isn't that enough?" João would respond, trying to understand why his love and dedication weren't enough. "No, João, it's not enough. I want more from life. I don't want to spend the rest of my days with the smell of grease and oil in our house," Maria would shout, her voice full of desperation. These situations of public and private humiliation showed Maria's growing contempt for João. The love that once existed between them was wearing away, replaced by bitterness and resentment. João, no matter how hard he tried, could not meet Maria's expectations, and this hurt him deeply. He held on for the sake of Ana, his daughter, who was his reason for living. But he knew something had to change before everything fell apart completely. The fights between João and Maria intensified over the months, becoming almost a routine in their lives. Each argument seemed worse than the last, and Maria became increasingly disrespectful and relentless in her criticism. One night, João came home, exhausted after a particularly difficult day at the shop. He barely had time to take off his shoes before Maria started. "João, look at you. You come home smelling like grease and oil, as always. I can't take it anymore," she shouted from the kitchen. "Maria, I work hard to support this family. I can't avoid the smell." "I'm doing the best I can," João replied, trying to stay calm. "Your best isn't good enough. I deserve more than this. I deserve someone who can give me the life I want, who can take me out of this mediocrity," she retorted, her voice full of bitterness. Maria's words were like knives to João. He knew she was dissatisfied, but hearing it so bluntly and directly hurt him deeply. The arguments became more frequent and more intense. Maria didn't hesitate to make sarcastic and derogatory comments, often in front of Ana, who watched in silence, her big, sad eyes reflecting the tension between her parents. "João, you're nothing but a failure. All our friends have successful careers, while you're stuck in that filthy shop," she would scream, not caring about Anna's presence. "Mom, please don't talk to Dad like that," Anna would beg, trying to defend João. "Stay out of this, Anna. You don't understand how hard it is for me," Maria would retort, pushing her daughter away. Maria started going out more often, claiming she needed time for herself. João tried to understand, believing that maybe it would help ease the tension between them. But soon he realized there was something more. Maria began spending time with Gustavo, a charming young man she met at a friend's party. Gustavo was everything Maria thought she wanted. Well-dressed, charismatic, and seemingly wealthy. He drove a luxurious car, wore designer clothes, and was always surrounded by influential people. Initially, Maria was discreet about her involvement with Gustavo. She would tell João she was out with friends or attending work events. But soon the excuses became less convincing, and João began to suspect. One night, João decided to confront Maria. She had come home late, smelling of an expensive perfume he knew wasn't hers. "Maria, where were you?" João asked, trying to keep his voice steady but unable to hide the pain and suspicion. "I was out with friends, João. I need a bit of fun every now and then," Maria replied, avoiding eye contact. "I know there's more to it. You're seeing someone, aren't you?" João insisted, his heart racing. Maria hesitated for a moment, then raised her chin defiantly. "Yes, João. I'm seeing Gustavo. And you know what? He makes me feel alive. He gives me the attention and respect you never did." João felt like the ground had opened up beneath him. "Maria, we have a family. What about Anna? What will she think? She'll understand when she's older. I deserve to be happy, João. And Gustavo can give me that," Maria said, her voice cold and distant. João couldn't sleep that night. Maria's words echoed in his mind, and he felt powerless. He loved Maria, but the woman he loved seemed to be disappearing, replaced by someone he barely recognized. In the following days, Maria became even more distant. She spent more time with Gustavo, leaving João and Anna alone at home. Gustavo, with his charm and apparent wealth, was everything Maria had always dreamed of, and she fully immersed herself in the illusion of a glamorous life by his side. João, on the other hand, focused on Anna and his work, trying to maintain a semblance of normalcy. But the pain and sense of betrayal were constant, and he knew that something had to change before he lost what little remained of his family. The tension between João and Maria reached a breaking point one Saturday afternoon when Maria abruptly and humiliatingly asked for a divorce. They were at Maria's parents' house, where friends and family had gathered for a Sunday lunch. The atmosphere was light and festive, but Maria carried a cold and distant determination in her eyes. During lunch, conversations flowed between laughter and stories, but Maria seemed to be waiting for the right moment to drop the bombshell. She looked at João, who was trying to participate in the conversation but was clearly uncomfortable with Maria's veiled hostility over the past few days. "I have an announcement to make," Maria began, interrupting the lively conversation around the table. All eyes turned to her, curious and attentive. João looked at Maria with concern. "Maria, what's going on?" "João, I want a divorce," she said bluntly, her voice cutting through the air. Silence fell over the room. João was paralyzed, unable to process what he had just heard. "What? Why? I can't keep living this miserable life. I'm tired of being the wife of a dirty mechanic. I deserve more," Maria continued, her voice rising. "Gustavo has shown me that there's a better life out there, a life I've always dreamed of." João's face went pale, the shock evident in his eyes. Friends and family around the table were stunned, unable to believe what they were hearing. Some tried to intervene, but Maria was resolute. "You're seeing Gustavo? Is that why?" João asked, his voice trembling with disbelief and pain. "Yes, João. Gustavo is everything you never were. He treats me the way I deserve to be treated, and I've decided to marry him," Maria declared, without a trace of remorse. Maria, think about Anna. What will this do to her? João pleaded, his voice filled with despair. Anna will be fine. She'll understand that her mother deserves to be happy, Maria replied coldly, standing up from the table. The public humiliation left João devastated. He didn't know what to do or how to react. He felt the weight of everyone's judgment, but what hurt most was Maria's betrayal and the impact it would have on their daughter. In the following days, Maria began preparing the divorce papers with a determination that showed she was serious about moving on. She moved in with Gustavo, eager to start her new life, while João was left alone with Anna. João felt like he was in the middle of a nightmare. He tried to keep a routine for Anna, taking her to school, helping her with homework, and being the loving and present father he always was. But Maria's absence was a constant void that he couldn't fill. Anna, on the other hand, was confused and hurt. She felt the change in the family dynamic, even though João tried to protect her from the full truth. One night, she sat next to João on the couch, holding one of her favorite toys. "Daddy, is Mommy coming back?" she asked, her big, sad eyes searching his face. João took a deep breath, feeling a lump in his throat. "Anna, Mommy has decided she wants to live differently. But I'm here, and I will always be here for you. We will be okay, I promise." Anna slowly nodded, but João knew it would be a tough journey for both of them. Meanwhile, Maria plunged into the luxurious life Gustavo had promised. Parties, expensive dinners, and trips became her new normal. But over time, she began to realize that not everything was as perfect as it seemed. Gustavo, who appeared to be a charming prince, had his own flaws and secrets. One afternoon, while at an elegant cafe with some friends, Maria received a call from Gustavo. He sounded hurried and nervous. "Maria, I need you to meet me at the office now," he said, without further explanation. When Maria arrived at the office, Gustavo was waiting with a worried expression. "We have problems, Maria. I'm not exactly who you think I am." Maria felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. "What do you mean?" Gustavo began to explain that the luxurious life he had shown her was largely a facade. He was involved in shady businesses and didn't have the wealth he appeared to have. Maria found herself trapped in a complicated and desperate situation. Meanwhile, despite being devastated, João began to find strength in the responsibility of caring for Anna. He dedicated himself even more to his work, but always made sure to spend quality time with his daughter. Anna was his source of strength and hope, and he strived to be the best father possible for her. João knew that despite everything, he had to keep going for Anna. He rose not only as a dedicated mechanic, but also as an exemplary father, determined to give his daughter a life full of love and security despite all the adversities. After the divorce, João's life changed drastically. He was forced to face a whirlwind of emotions and financial challenges that threatened to upend his existence. The house, once filled with laughter and conversation, now felt empty and silent. Maria's absence was a constant reminder of the betrayal and sudden change that he couldn't fully comprehend. Nights were especially tough for João. He would sit on the couch, looking at old photos of happier times, trying to find the strength to go on. The pain of abandonment and the sense of failure were overwhelming, but he knew he had to be strong for Anna. She depended on him more than ever, and that became his daily motivation to keep going. Financially, things were also difficult. The cost of the divorce, combined with the need to support the household and take care of Anna, meant João had to work even harder. He spent long hours at the workshop, fixing cars with renewed determination, even when his mind was burdened with worries. He would get up before dawn and come home late at night, often too exhausted to do anything but collapse into bed. One night, while João was sitting at the kitchen table, looking at the pile of bills, Anna approached and placed her little hand on his shoulder. "Daddy, are you sad?" she asked, her eyes full of innocent concern. João looked at his daughter and forced a smile. "A little, my angel, but everything will be okay. We have each other, and that's what matters." Anna hugged her father tightly, and in that moment, João felt a surge of determination. He knew that no matter how hard it was, he wasn't alone. Anna was his light, his reason to keep fighting. While João faced his daily battles, Maria, initially dazzled by her new life with Gustavo, began to realize that not everything was as perfect as it seemed. The first few weeks were like a dream for her. Dinners at expensive restaurants, luxurious parties, and extravagant gifts. Gustavo was attentive and charismatic, and Maria felt she had finally found the life she always wanted. However, small inconsistencies began to surface. Gustavo, who always seemed to have plenty of money, started making comments about difficult businesses and risky investments. He received phone calls at odd hours and left hurriedly without many explanations. Maria, who initially ignored these signs, started to become suspicious. One night, while they were at a dinner with friends, Gustavo received a call and left the restaurant in a hurry. Worried, Maria decided to follow him. She saw him enter an office building and meet with a nervous-looking man. They argued for a few minutes before Gustavo handed the man an envelope full of money. Maria waited for Gustavo to return and confronted him when they got home. "Gustavo, what's going on? Who was that man? And why were you giving him money?" Gustavo tried to downplay the situation, but Maria wasn't convinced. "It's just business, Maria. Don't worry about it." But Maria couldn't ignore the signs anymore. She started investigating on her own, going through documents and listening in on conversations. She discovered that Gustavo was involved in shady dealings, and that the fortune he flaunted was actually built on scams and fraud. The revelation was devastating. Maria realized she had traded a stable, honest life for an illusion of luxury built on lies. She began to feel trapped and desperate, realizing she had lost what really mattered, the integrity and stability João had always provided. Meanwhile, João found strength in his routine and his love for Anna. Every smile from her, every small success at school, was a reminder that he was on the right path. He started investing more in the workshop, earning the trust of new customers and expanding his business. The community respected him not only for his skills, but also for his honesty and dedication. One day, while working at the workshop, an old customer approached João. "João, you're an honest and hardworking man. We need more people like you. I want you to know that, despite everything, you'll always have our support." These words meant the world to João. He realized that despite the difficulties, he was building something real and lasting, based on values that couldn't be bought. Maria, now aware of Gustavo's lies, faced a difficult choice. She could continue living in the illusion or try to rebuild her life based on truth. The luxurious life Gustavo had promised was falling apart, and she found herself increasingly isolated and regretful. João, on the other hand, began to see the light at the end of the tunnel. He knew the journey would be long, but he was determined to provide the best life possible for Anna. The workshop was flourishing, and he found joy in the little things. The sound of Anna's laughter, the satisfaction of a job well done, and the peace of knowing that, despite everything, he was doing the right thing. Years passed since João and Maria's painful divorce. João had established himself as a respected mechanic, and his workshop had become a thriving business. He had earned the trust and respect of the community for his honesty and hard work. Anna, his daughter, had grown into a smart and responsible young woman, reflecting the values João had taught her over the years. One afternoon, while working on a luxurious sports car that had been brought in for repairs, João made a surprising discovery. As he removed the backseat to access a wiring problem, he found a hidden suitcase. Curious, he opened it and was shocked to see it was full of money. Stacks of bills in various denominations were piled inside, amounting to a small fortune. João stood still for a moment, absorbing the magnitude of the discovery. He knew he had an opportunity that could change his life, but his principles wouldn't allow him to think of anything but doing the right thing. He took a deep breath, closed the suitcase, and decided he would return the money to the car's owner. As he prepared to contact the owner, João felt a sense of peace wash over him. Despite all the hardships and the temptation of easy wealth, he knew he was staying true to his values. For him, integrity was priceless, and no amount of money could change that. The next day, the car owner, a billionaire known in the city for his philanthropy and successful business ventures, came to pick up his vehicle. João, with the suitcase in hand, approached the man. "Sir, while fixing your car, I found this hidden under the back seat," João said, handing the suitcase to the billionaire. The man opened the suitcase and was visibly surprised. "You found this and decided to return it? You know many people wouldn't have done the same." João smiled shyly. "I've always believed that honesty is the best policy. That money isn't mine." The billionaire looked at João intently, impressed by his integrity. "You are a rare man, João. I've always valued honesty above all else. I want to reward you for your integrity." Days later, João received a call from the billionaire's office. He was invited to a meeting where the billionaire handed him a generous check, enough to solve all his financial problems and allow him to expand his workshop. João was astonished and incredulous. Life was finally rewarding him for his honesty and hard work. Meanwhile, Maria's life was on a steep decline. At first, she enjoyed the luxurious life with Gustavo, but over time, inconsistencies and financial problems became more evident. Gustavo, who always seemed to have plenty of money, began facing serious issues. Bills started to pile up, and the luxuries Maria had grown accustomed to began to disappear. Maria started digging deeper into Gustavo's activities and discovered the terrible truth. He was a con artist. Gustavo had a long history of financial frauds and scams that were finally starting to unravel. He didn't have the wealth he pretended to have. Everything was a facade sustained by lies and deceit. Maria was devastated and ashamed for having been deceived and for abandoning João and Ana for an illusion. Gustavo was eventually arrested, and Maria found herself alone, without money, and without the support she thought she had. She faced severe financial problems, having to sell the few possessions she still owned to pay off debts and avoid total ruin. Desperate and with no options left, Maria decided to seek out João, hoping he could offer some kind of help. She knew she had made a terrible mistake in leaving him and felt the shame of her choices. When Maria arrived at João's workshop, he was working on a car, as usual. He looked up and saw her standing at the entrance, visibly distressed and ashamed. "João, I made a big mistake. Gustavo was a con artist, and now I'm alone and have nothing," Maria said, her voice breaking. João looked at her for a moment, feeling a mix of compassion and sadness. "Maria, I'm sorry for what happened, but I need to think about Ana and what's best for her." "I understand, João. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry for everything. I hope that one day you can forgive me," said Maria, tears streaming down her face. João sighed. "I forgive you, Maria, but I can't simply forget what happened. I need to move forward and take care of Ana. I hope you find a better path." Maria nodded, knowing João's words were fair. She walked away, hoping to rebuild her life somehow, while João returned to work, determined to continue providing for his daughter and upholding the values he always believed in. This experience further strengthened João and his determination to be an example for Ana. The billionaire's reward not only solved his financial problems, but also gave him the security to expand his workshop and provide a better future for his daughter. João's honesty and hard work had finally been recognized and rewarded, allowing him to move forward with dignity and renewed hope. Months after Gustavo's arrest and the collapse of her luxurious life, Maria was deeply regretful. Without money and the status she thought she had gained, she was forced to reflect on her choices and how she had treated João. During her lonely nights, she constantly thought about the husband she had abandoned and the daughter she had left behind. Maria began hearing rumors about João's transformation. He had expanded his workshop, which was now one of the most respected and successful in the city. The community admired him even more, not just for his skill and honesty, but also for the success he had achieved through hard work and integrity. Joao had become a symbol of perseverance and righteousness. Determined to correct her mistakes, Maria decided to seek out Joao. She knew asking for forgiveness would be difficult, but she was willing to do anything to try and regain the trust and love she had lost. One day, dressed simply and carrying only a small bag, Maria went to Joao's workshop. She waited patiently until he finished attending to a customer and, with her heart pounding, approached him. "Joao, I need to talk to you," Maria began, her voice trembling. Joao looked up and was surprised to see her. "Maria, what are you doing here? I know I have no right to ask for anything, but I need to say that I'm sorry. I made a terrible mistake leaving you and Anna. I was blinded by ambition, and now I realize how foolish I was," Maria said, tears streaming down her face. "I've seen the transformation in your life and realized the wonderful man you always were. I would like to ask for a second chance to try and rebuild what I've lost." Joao listened in silence, his conflicting emotions reflected in his eyes. He remembered the love he once felt for Maria, but also the pain and humiliation she had caused him. "Maria, I understand your regret, but a lot has changed. When you left, I had to rebuild my life from scratch, mainly for Anna. I did it not just for myself, but for her," Joao said calmly. Maria wiped her tears, hoping for a response. "I just want an opportunity to make things right. I promise I won't disappoint you again." Joao took a deep breath, looking directly into Maria's eyes. "Maria, I forgive you for what happened, but getting back together isn't an option. My priority now is Anna's happiness and well-being. I've learned a lot since you left, and one of the most important lessons was to value myself and the people around me for who they are, not for what they have." Maria nodded slowly, understanding the depth of Joao's words. "I understand, Joao, and I respect your decision. I just wanted you to know that I truly regret everything." Joao gently placed his hand on her shoulder. "I hope you find your way, Maria, and that you learn to value the important things in life." Maria left the workshop feeling a mix of sadness and relief. She knew she had a long journey ahead, but Joao's words gave her a new perspective on life and what truly mattered. Meanwhile, Joao returned to his work, feeling more secure in his decision. He knew that focusing on his own happiness and Anna's was the best path. The experiences of the past few years had taught him valuable lessons about honesty, respect, and self-love. Joao often reflected on how his life had changed. The success he had achieved was the result of his dedication and integrity. He had learned that the true meaning of success and happiness wasn't in material wealth or status, but in peace of mind and genuine love for the people around him. He spent more time with Anna, encouraging her studies and dreams. They shared moments of joy and simplicity that strengthened the bond between father and daughter. Joao knew he was teaching Anna the importance of being a person of integrity, regardless of circumstances. Joao's story became a moral lesson for many in the community. He was a living example that honesty and respect are fundamental, and that the true value of people lies in who they are, not in what they possess. His journey demonstrated that with hard work and solid principles, it is possible to overcome adversity and achieve a full and meaningful life. Joao and Anna moved forward, with the certainty that they were building a life based on love, respect, and integrity. And for Joao, that was the true meaning of success and happiness. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a like and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support is essential to us. And now, an exciting new story is coming up on your screen.